20 years and still going strong. Utah's #1 sports radio show for over 2 decades. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. The IOC announced yesterday morning, way early, I don't know why they did that Salt Lake City will host the 2034 Olympic Games. The announcement came from Paris at about 4:30 in the morning Wednesday. Now, if you're making an announcement, you know it's going to be big news somewhere. Do you make the announcements so you can be at 4:30 in the morning? You can be big news there? I couldn't believe people turned out for that. In 95, when they announced the 2002 games, there was a massive party at the city-county building. They closed State Street. People were out in the street. The Matheson Courthouse hadn't been built across the street. They had a huge video screen up. The place went nuts. It was great. 4:30. I'm glad they celebrated with the drone show, not the fireworks. Can you imagine the calls to the cops if people had been, the 911 calls, if people had been awakened by fireworks at 4:30 in the morning? So they went with the drone show. That was a solid decision. So the Olympics return to Utah. L.A., Lake Placid, and Salt Lake City are now the only 3 U.S. cities to host them multiple times. 2034. Are you fired up now that the Winter Olympics are officially returning to Utah? That is the question of the morning. Hot Takes for Toast brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. And plenty of you are willing to say no. No, I am not. Dan, no. Jeff, same. It's not worth it. Blair, however, beyond stoked. Blair, I don't know how you hold on to that for a decade. It's a decade out. You got to pace yourself. I think Michael makes a solid point here. I kind of miss the locals-only feel and the pre-Olympics affordability of most resorts. Now, over time, everything was going to get more expensive. It just is. What costs today what it cost back in 2002? Everything's more expensive. And in 10 years, it'll be more expensive. So I get that. But did the Olympics accelerate that? Yeah, I believe they did. And so if that's your gripe, can't blame you. Skiing and snowboarding, it is expensive. I mean, some sports are cheap, and some sports just cost a lot of cash. Basketball and soccer, you don't need much. A ball, a hoop, a goal, and there's a reason that those are the 2 most popular sports all around the world. Because people who don't have a lot can play those sports, and they can enjoy them, and they can love them. And you can create them for your environment. You can play them in a driveway that's too narrow, in an alley that's too narrow, on a big grass field if you have it, or in a huge gymnasium if you have it, but you don't have to have it. Golf's expensive. And I think skiers look at golfers and you don't even know expensive. I think you're right. You can spend a few $100 on clubs, or more than that. Spend a few thousand on clubs. You can spend a few hundred on one club, one new driver. But at least you get to hit that thing all summer long. And for a couple summers if you want. It's cost of skiing. I get it, Michael. If you miss the locals only feel, crowding and the cost, I don't know what to tell you. This is just going to accelerate it. People see it on TV and are like, oh, cool. I've never been there. I think the people who ski are a lot like baseball fans. Baseball fans love to go down the checklist, and they love to see a new ballpark. Skiers like to go somewhere and see a new hill. Got to check out that mountain. Scott's also got his complaints about the Olympics. I'm waiting to see how many boondoggles the politicians try to push through based on the overly rosy economic forecast brought to you by the same academics whose overestimate of the Pac-12 media value rights led to the conference's demise. We'll be able to weave the Pac-12 into everything for a long time. Well done, Scott. Bravo. I appreciate that. And boondoggles come in many forms. I mean, there's certainly like Montreal. When I was a little kid, Montreal got to host the Summer Olympics, which are way more expensive than the Winter Games. And they ran up $1 billion deficit back when $1 billion was a lot of money. It took them decades to pay that off. I don't think we're going to have that here. Most of the events are done. And, in the Winter Olympics, a lot of the events involve having a mountain that people can slide down on, whatever. Skis, snowboards, do flips. So a lot of stuff isn't required. And now we've got an ice sheet, and we've got the ski jumping hill, and we've got the arena. And I saw an excellent fight on social media because people have got to fight about something, about whether the opening ceremonies would be at Rice-Eccles Stadium or they'd be at the new baseball stadium if it gets built. I looked at it and thought, who cares where the opening ceremonies are? What does that matter? I went to the opening and closing ceremonies for work. Solo ticket, didn't get to go with my wife, didn't get to go with my kids, my family. One ticket, handed a station cell phone back when there were such things. I was told, if a plane crashes into the stadium, this is a direct quote, by the way, this is a true story. If a plane crashes in the stadium and blows up and you're still alive, call us on this. Live phoners. We'll get cameras on it when we can. News director turned and walked away. He, by the way, was a grade A bleep. And he wanted to go, and he couldn't. And here I am like, you want to go? Okay, I guess so. People skating around, torches, kind of artistic. Usually get dragged to those things, but whatever, yeah, I'll go, sure. The coolest thing about the ceremonies wasn't where they were. It was that Steve Young was involved, and he was singing along to a Bon Jovi hit, and he got too close to a mic that was live, and you could hear him, and all of a sudden it's just karaoke night at Rice-Eccles, and Steve literally recoiled in horror when he heard himself like, hey, I'm not supposed to be mic'd up here. I do not want to sing in front of a global audience. That was hilarious. He spoke for all of us.
To the point, though, yeah, it doesn't matter really where this is held. It's going to be a huge event.
Yeah, it's a TV show. You're probably not going anyway. And if you are going, you'd be so happy to be there. What do you care what stadium it's in?
Well, I'm sure there's a certain fan base that would feel some pride if it was held at
it's already been held there. It's already an Olympic venue. They can't take that away from you. They went to a newer, shinier stadium that inevitably is probably going to be built with more luxury suites, which they'll charge an arm and a leg for, and companies will gladly pay because if you're up there, you know, this is somebody you got a multi-million or billion-dollar account with, and you're some, Coca-Cola, Apple, I don't know, whoever's in there, whatever global conglomerate. It's nothing. It's pocket change. And you're using those seats to leverage long-term deals that make way more money. Business is getting done there. It's on a bigger scale. It's just what we're seeing with the Jazz and what we're going to see with the Utah Hockey Club. And all the people who are complaining, whoa, I didn't know it was going to cost that much. Well, yeah, it's not the ECHL. MLB tickets aren't going to look like AAA baseball. And the people who get to go control budgets. They either own the company or they control a budget and make decisions. And then they get access to cool stuff. And the thing about the Olympics is there are so many events that if you just want to go to an Olympic event, you can go. Because there's too many things going on at the same time in too many places. Rich people can't fill them all up. Now, if you want to go to a glamour event, you want to go to gold medal hockey, well, good luck with that. You're not going, Mr. and Mrs. Average Utah. This is not happening. But there's enough events. You can go see something. The biathlon isn't going to be sold out. And the preliminary hockey rounds, you can get in. There'll be tickets available. All right, your excitement level. Got to pull up on Twitter. David DJ James, you can vote there. We got to get back to the Olympics later in the show and talk Olympic basketball specifically and Olympic cheating because I love Olympic cheating. It cracks me up. I thought I was going to, when I was covering the 2002 Olympics, I thought I was going to see all these Olympic events that, my grandmother was gone at that point, and whenever I went over to her house during the Olympics, she was locked in it. So you got all these childhood memories, blah, blah, blah. And I just ended up covering cheating. I was scandal guy. This is just one scandal after another. To the point people didn't even believe me when I called in the station with a scandal. Well, I've not seen anything yet from Associated Press. Yeah, that's because that guy's standing behind me in line for the payphone. Because we didn't all have cell phones yet. And we got another one in these games. The Olympics don't start until there's a really good cheating scandal. And these Olympics are underway. All right, DJ and PK, that's coming up later. So is Tim Lacombe, and we'll talk Olympic hoops with him. Is he just going to get the gold medal, or is it going to be bitter disappointment like there was 20 years ago? Stick around. That's on the way right here on The Zone.